The asteroid that changed everything around 66 million years ago, a colossal asteroid, roughly the size of Mount Everest, slammed into Earth near modern-day Yucatan, Mexico. This wasn't your average celestial event. It was a cataclysmic collision that reshaped life on our planet. The energy unleashed was staggering, equal to 10 billion atomic bombs, instantly setting the stage for chaos and extinction. The impact generated massive shockwaves that rippled across the globe, triggering earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions. But the real chaos began in the skies. The explosion sent billions of tons of rock and debris hurtling into the atmosphere. As these fiery fragments rained back down, they superheated the air, igniting wildfires that scorched vast stretches of land. If that wasn't enough, the skies turned dark. Dust and soot from the impact blanketed the planet, blocking out sunlight for months, maybe even years. This plunged Earth into a nuclear winter, where temperatures dropped drastically. Plants withered without sunlight, and animals higher up in the food chain struggled to survive as their food sources disappeared. The dinosaurs, once rulers of the land, faced their ultimate downfall. Larger species, especially those reliant on abundant food, perished quickly. Smaller animals, like mammals and some bird-like dinosaurs, had better odds, often burrowing underground or scavenging whatever scraps they could find. Survival now depended on adaptability and resilience. This event wasn't just a disaster, it was a reset button for Earth's ecosystems. As the dust began to settle, new opportunities emerged for smaller, more adaptable species. Mammals, in particular, began their slow but steady rise, setting the stage for their eventual dominance. Evolution doesn't take breaks, and this mass extinction was proof of nature's relentless momentum. From a thriving world of dinosaurs to a planet reshaped by adversity, this asteroid's impact marked the end of one era and the dawn of another. But the journey didn't end here. The effects of this event rippled across millions of years, paving the way for creatures to adapt, evolve, and thrive. And as we'll explore, the story of life's survival is just as incredible as its destruction, a mass extinction like no other. When the asteroid hit, it wasn't just dinosaurs who had a bad day, it was practically every living thing. About 75% of all species vanished, a global disaster no one could escape. From tiny creatures in the ocean to towering beasts on land, survival was a brutal lottery. It wasn't personal. The asteroid didn't play favorites. If you couldn't adapt quickly, you were out of the game for good. Large animals, especially those over 25 kilograms, about 55 pounds, were the first to go. Why? Because big bodies need lots of food. And when plants started dying, the buffet was officially over. Smaller creatures, like some mammals, managed to hang on by eating anything they could find. Bugs, seeds, maybe even scraps left by less fortunate critters. The oceans didn't fare much better. Marine reptiles like mosasaurs and plesiosaurs, which once ruled the seas, disappeared along with many smaller marine creatures. Coral reefs, which relied on sunlight for their vibrant ecosystems, also collapsed. Without a steady food chain, life underwater turned into a survival of the fittest showdown. On land, herbivores faced a bleak future with most plants wiped out. Carnivores, who depended on those herbivores for meals, didn't last much longer. It was a domino effect, and soon, ecosystems that had thrived for millions of years crumbled into chaos. The chain reaction left no room for error. If one link broke, the whole system fell apart. Despite this grim picture, not everything perished. Birds, which are essentially modern dinosaurs, managed to stick around. Their smaller size, ability to fly, and less picky eating habits gave them a much-needed edge. Similarly, burrowing mammals, safe underground, dodged the worst of the catastrophe. These survivors would help shape the next era of life on Earth, From towering giants to tiny survivors, the asteroid reset life on Earth. It was a tragic yet pivotal moment, clearing the way for new species to emerge. But as life slowly began to rebuild, another question loomed. How would Earth's ecosystems recover from such an epic loss? Stay tuned as we dive into the fallout and the surprising resilience of nature. The sky turned dark and the world changed. After the asteroid struck, Earth's skies went from bright and sunny to pitch black almost overnight. The collision blasted trillions of tons of dust and soot into the air, creating a suffocating blanket around the planet. This wasn't your everyday cloudy weather. It was a total light-blocking disaster. Without sunlight, Earth fell into a freezing darkness, and life everywhere faced an uphill battle for survival. As if the darkness wasn't bad enough, the temperature plummeted. Imagine the entire planet turning into a giant freezer. Plants, already struggling from the initial heatwave, now had zero sunlight to make food. With photosynthesis out of the picture, the food chain began collapsing faster than you could say mass extinction. It was bad news for herbivores, and even worse news for the predators relying on them. The chaos didn't stop there. The soot-filled sky acted like a lid, trapping heat from escaping and making the surface temperatures drop by up to 20 degrees Celsius, 36 degrees Celsius. This was no ordinary cold snap. It was an ice age triggered by an asteroid. Animals that couldn't handle the sudden chill were wiped out. Meanwhile, the few that could adapt found creative ways to survive, like hiding underground or scavenging whatever scraps they could find. Wildfires from the impact added another layer of destruction. They burned through forests and grasslands, leaving behind a barren wasteland. When the smoke cleared, Earth looked like a post-apocalyptic movie set. These fires didn't just destroy habitats, they added more carbon to the atmosphere, creating a toxic cocktail that further damaged the fragile ecosystems clinging to life. Even the oceans weren't safe. Dust and ash blocked sunlight from reaching underwater plants, causing a domino effect that disrupted marine food chains. Coral reefs, already delicate, were decimated. The oceans turned into a watery wasteland where only the most adaptable creatures stood a chance. It was a harsh reminder that no corner of Earth was spared. From freezing temperatures to collapsing ecosystems, the aftermath of the asteroid was brutal. But nature has a way of bouncing back, even from catastrophes. As the skies eventually cleared and sunlight returned, life began to rebuild in surprising ways. The resilience of these survivors paved the way for a new chapter in Earth's story, one where mammals would finally take center stage. The chain reaction that brought the dinosaurs down. The asteroid's impact didn't just stop at blocking sunlight and freezing the planet. It caused a domino effect that wiped out entire ecosystems. Herbivores, the plant-loving giants of the dinosaur world, were the first to feel the heat, or rather, the cold. With plants gone, their food supply vanished and no amount of foraging could save them. Their extinction spelled disaster for the rest of the food chain. Carnivores thought they'd have a feast with all those herbivore carcasses lying around. And sure, it worked for a while, but the buffet didn't last. Without a steady supply of prey, these predators quickly found themselves on the losing side of evolution. When the hunters ran out of food, they became part of the extinction statistics, leaving the world eerily quiet and empty. Smaller creatures, on the other hand, had some tricks up their sleeves. Mammals and tiny reptiles used their size to their advantage, squeezing into burrows or hiding in crevices. They didn't need much to survive, just scraps here and there. Plus, some could eat almost anything, from seeds to insects, which gave them a major leg up in this apocalyptic scenario. Adaptability was the name of the game. Even the mighty oceans were thrown into chaos. The collapse of marine ecosystems meant large predators like mosasaurs and plesiosaurs had no fishy snacks to sustain them. Coral reefs, the underwater cities of life, were also hit hard. When the base of the ocean food chain crumbled, so did everything else. Survival in the deep became a test of luck and ingenuity. Amid this chaos, some animals found ways to hang on. Birds, the distant relatives of dinosaurs, had the advantage of flight and could scavenge far and wide for food. Their smaller size and resourcefulness allowed them to survive and eventually thrive. It's no coincidence that these feathered survivors are still around today, reminding us of their ancient ancestors. The extinction of the dinosaurs was the end of an era, but it wasn't the end of life on Earth. With the giants gone, room opened up for new species to evolve and take their place. Mammals began their slow rise to dominance, setting the stage for the next great chapter in Earth's history. But the journey to recovery was far from over. Life had to rebuild, one small step at a time. The long road to extinction. How fast did the dinosaurs disappear? Some scientists argue it was like flipping a switch, over in just a few years. Others think it was more of a slow fade, with small groups surviving for decades or even centuries in isolated pockets. Either way, the asteroid was the ultimate plot twist in Earth's story, bringing the curtain down on a caste that had ruled for over 150 million years. In the years immediately following the impact, life was a constant struggle. Food was scarce, temperatures were harsh, and habitats were destroyed. The dinosaurs that survived the initial chaos faced a world that was no longer built for them. They couldn't adapt fast enough to the rapidly changing environment, and one by one they faded into extinction. It was survival of the fittest, literally. Interestingly, some fossils suggest a few dinosaurs might have outlasted the asteroid's impact. In remote areas, small populations may have clung to life, scavenging or adapting as best they could. These weren't the mighty T-Rex or towering Brachiosaurus, but smaller, less flashy species that might have flown under the radar. Still, their days were numbered as Earth continued to evolve. The slow fade theory is supported by evidence that some species lasted tens of thousands of years after the asteroid hit. But even the toughest creatures couldn't compete with the rise of mammals. As plants and ecosystems slowly recovered, mammals found new niches to explore. They weren't just survivors, they were opportunists, ready to fill the gaps left behind. While some species disappeared quickly, the idea of a drawn-out extinction is a reminder that life is resilient. Evolution doesn't stop, even during a mass extinction. Those that couldn't adapt died out, but their disappearance made room for new life to thrive. The asteroid might have been the end of the dinosaurs, but it was also the beginning of a new era. From quick destruction to a gradual fade, the extinction of the dinosaurs reshaped Earth in ways that are still felt today. Mammals, once small and overlooked, began their journey toward becoming the planet's dominant species, and while the dinosaurs were gone, their legacy lived on in the birds that took to the skies and in the lessons their extinction left for life on Earth. Did dinosaurs really disappear completely? While the asteroid wiped out most dinosaurs, some intriguing evidence hints at their possible survival. Fossils found in certain regions, like the San Juan Basin, seem to date to a few 100,000 years after the big event. Did these creatures defy extinction? Or are scientists misinterpreting the clues? Many argue these fossils were simply displaced, mixing up the timeline. Imagine dinosaurs sneaking past extinction, unlikely but fascinating. If small groups managed to survive, they probably lived in isolated pockets, avoiding the worst of the chaos. However, these survivors would have faced a harsh reality, a world that no longer catered to their needs. Even if they dodged the asteroid's initial blow, the slow recovery of Earth's ecosystems would have sealed their fate. Another theory involves dinosaur eggs. Could well-hidden nests have hatched after the asteroid hit? If so, these hatchlings would have been fighting an uphill battle. Without enough food and facing extreme conditions, their odds of survival were slim. Still, the idea that life found a way, even briefly, sparks the imagination. Nature is persistent, even in the direst circumstances. Skeptics argue against these survival stories, pointing out the lack of consistent evidence. Most surviving fossils were likely shifted by geological processes, creating the illusion of dinosaurs living beyond their extinction. It's like finding a misplaced time capsule and thinking it's from yesterday. It's all about context, and sometimes nature plays tricks on us. Whether dinosaurs stuck around for a few extra millennia or vanished right after the impact, their legacy is undeniable. Modern birds are direct descendants of these prehistoric giants, a living testament to their resilience. From tiny sparrows to mighty eagles, dinosaurs never really left. They just took to the skies, proving you can't keep a good species down. So, did some dinosaurs outlive the asteroid? Maybe, but their long-term survival was never in the cards. Their extinction paved the way for mammals to rise, reshaping life on Earth. Yet every chirping bird and soaring hawk reminds us of the incredible journey these creatures took. In a way, dinosaurs live on, just not as the rulers they once were. A new world takes shape. After the asteroid's chaos settled, Earth looked like a barren wasteland, but as time passed, the planet began to recover, slowly but surely. Plants were the first to make a comeback, sprouting wherever conditions allowed. With greenery returning, the stage was set for animals to re-enter the scene. Life, as it always does, found a way to bounce back from one of its toughest challenges yet. The recovery wasn't quick or easy. The first ecosystems were fragile, built on small plants and hardy creatures that could survive the harsh conditions. Mammals, which had stayed under the radar during the dinosaur era, started to thrive. They were small, adaptable, and ready to seize the opportunities left behind. What they lacked in size, they made up for in persistence. Birds also emerged as key survivors, taking over the skies once ruled by pterosaurs. Their ability to fly gave them access to food and safety, allowing them to adapt to the changing environment. These feathered survivors weren't just lucky, they were versatile, capable of enduring the challenges of a world rebuilding itself from scratch. As ecosystems stabilized, mammals began to diversify. Some grew larger, while others specialized in niches left empty by extinct dinosaurs. The world saw the rise of new predators, plant eaters, and scavengers, creating a balanced food web. It was like nature hit the reset button, and mammals took the chance to shine. They were no longer hiding, they were evolving into the stars of the show. The oceans, too, began to heal. Coral reefs slowly regenerated, and marine life found its rhythm again. New species filled the gaps, replacing ancient giants like mosasaurs. The underwater world transformed, reflecting the resilience of life. While the scars of the asteroid lingered, the oceans proved they could adapt, just like the land. The asteroid may have ended the reign of dinosaurs, but it also marked the beginning of a new era. Mammals took center stage, setting the stage for the eventual rise of humans. The planet's ability to rebuild, despite such overwhelming destruction, is a testament to the resilience of life itself. Earth's story didn't end with the dinosaurs, it simply turned the page to an exciting new chapter. From dinosaurs to mammals, the dawn of a new era. When the dust literally settled after the asteroid's impact, the world had a vacancy for a new ruler. The dinosaurs were gone, and mammals, those small, unassuming creatures, were ready to step up. It wasn't overnight, but these survivors slowly took over niches left empty. With their ability to adapt and thrive in tough conditions, mammals laid the foundation for a new chapter in Earth's history. At first, mammals didn't look like much, small, furry, and mostly nocturnal, but that was their secret weapon. They could live in burrows, survive on scraps, and stay out of harm's way. As plants and ecosystems recovered, mammals found more opportunities to eat, breed, and expand. Their adaptability made them the perfect candidates to reshape life on Earth. The rise of mammals wasn't just about survival. It was about innovation. Over time, they diversified into countless forms, from tree-dwelling creatures to fast runners and even powerful predators. This evolutionary explosion filled the gaps left by dinosaurs. Mammals didn't just replace the giants, they transformed the rules of the game, creating new ecosystems in the process. Meanwhile, birds were thriving in the skies. Descended from feathered dinosaurs, they became another success story of resilience. Their small size and ability to adapt gave them an edge. Whether scavenging for food or nesting in hard-to-reach places, birds capitalized on the opportunities of this new world. They, too, played a key role in the planet's recovery. The oceans mirrored this transformation. Marine mammals, like early ancestors of whales, eventually took to the seas. Coral reefs and fish populations rebounded, creating vibrant underwater ecosystems once again. Life in the water and on land worked in harmony, showcasing the incredible ability of Earth to rebuild itself after such devastation. This new era wasn't just about survival, it was about thriving. Mammals evolved into countless shapes and sizes, setting the stage for the arrival of humanity. The asteroid that ended the dinosaurs' reign wasn't just a destructive force, it was a turning point, opening the door for a world that would one day belong to us. The story of Earth was far from over. It was just beginning a bold new chapter.